Friends, we've just come off of a very interesting episode and actually a very interesting series. We were talking about fate and destiny in that series. But today we have an opportunity once again to open up a new discussion, a new conversation on a topic that is close to my heart. I'm going to be talking about 5 ways of breaking impossibility barriers in our dreams and in our plans. There are very many keywords in that statement. First of all, there is the breaking impossibilities. The impossibility is a keyword. Dreams is a keyword. Barriers is a keyword. Plans also is a keyword. And I want us to start talking about these things because most of us are dreamers. And what brings us down are these seemingly impossible barriers that we do gaze at every waking day. And someone who was a big-time visionary ends up doing nothing because of these impossibility barriers. Not because they're a bad person, but because of the barriers. How do we break these impossibility barriers in our lives? That's the new series. It's going to be inspirational and instructive. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Life Signatures episodes are brought to you by africanbooks.com, which is an online ebook platform that seeks to broadcast the African Christian voice to the world. As such, they have become a hub for African content, connecting African writers and publishers with a global reading audience. Publishing your books on their site is free and easy, with authors having full control over their content and the price they choose to sell at it. I was personally blown away by the concept that africanbooks.com is coming up with. Things like no content from their site or their app is going to be run on laptops so that people can easily copy. In other words, your content as a writer is restricted from digital multiplication or digital copying. So you remain intact with your information. And the other concept that I got so blown away with was the fact that in some time to come, in due course, africanbooks.com will be starting to announce African Writer of the Year. In other words, there will be competitions in all African countries to figure out who is the best published author. And I also fell in love with the fact that countries can actually compete against each other. We can have African authors going at it after each other, and your book as an author will be reviewed and have some stars and recommended upon that particular platform. The thing is that it's an answer to Amazon.com. You know, with Amazon, what happens? You've got to have an account in the Americas or whatever, or in Europe before you can get paid as an author. But here, the local currency is in play and the local means of getting paid are in play. So to get started, go to africanbooks.com as an author or as a publisher, and even as a reader if you wanted to read your African favorite authors. Enjoy. I am so grateful for life today. I'm so grateful for health. Just the other day I went out there and I donated blood, and just a couple of minutes later I was fainting. There's a time I shared with you guys in these episodes about death, that there was a time I fainted when they slapped a football into my stomach, and I just dropped down. I can't remember nothing, right? And I was trying to juxtapose that with the idea that we don't know what's there in death, and maybe death is not as painful as we think it is. So I'm grateful that I'm doing this. I'm grateful for life. You see, sometimes you don't know how valuable some things are until you lose them. You see, you don't know how valuable your health is until your health is the only thing you're fighting for. So I'm grateful today for the opportunity to serve you and to teach you and to talk about purpose, to talk about productivity, and to talk about resilience in this episode. So today we get an opportunity to start a new series. We're talking about 5 ways of breaking impossibility barriers in our dreams and in our plans. Like I said earlier on, all of us are dreamers. All of us have plans and wishes and desires. You've never found a human being who doesn't have these things. From a young age, we dream, and for some reason, when we are young, we don't see any impossibility. We always see possibilities. I remember some years back, I was as broke as a church mouse and was walking to church actually with my kids. A distance of, let me say, 3 or so, maybe 5 kilometers, right? So back and forth it would be 10 kilometers. And as we're coming back, we inevitably passed through a showroom. There is a showroom just on the road, and my boy, I think he was 5 years then, maybe 7, I can't remember, I'm not so good with those. And he saw the showroom and he saw cars there. And he started tagging on me, saying, "Daddy, let's go there and buy a car." To him, go there, it's a dream, go get it. He doesn't see any impossibility. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, it's a beautiful thing to have this kind of a mindset that there are no barriers. Or once your mind is locked on to something that you want to get, you go get it. You don't get to start calculating and saying, "Hey, I'm a black man, I come from this, there's nobody in my family who has ever..." And of course all those things determine sometimes our environments. Let me tell you something, this is just a digression from the topic. Let me tell you something. It is possible for you to be raised in a poverty-stricken family, and that poverty can put a mental block in your mind, so much so that even buying a shoe is a breakthrough. You feel guilty buying a shoe. You feel guilty having a good life. You feel guilty having money, and money doesn't come to you because it's a taboo of sorts. It's an automatic taboo. It's like you're not used to these things. I was interviewing in the episodes that are coming up in this month of October. I was talking to someone who, October 2022, I was talking to someone who was saying that money responds to your capacity and your knowledge to understand it. I told you I was going to digress. But anyway, I was saying that earlier on, I was saying that we have dreams, we have plans, and at a young age, we don't have any impediments, any impossibilities. We don't see any impossibility. When I grow up, I'm gonna be a pilot, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a teacher, I'm gonna be a lawyer, I'm gonna be a president, I'm gonna be a news anchor, I'm gonna be that guy on TV, right? I'm gonna be an engineer, I'm gonna be building things. And another thing I've seen is that we have these models of houses that we want to live in, and in our vision rooms, and actually in our living room, and so on. With the kids, they normally say they know for a fact that is where we're going to live, right? When are we going to live there? They don't see any impossibility. They don't even have a conversation of impossibility. It doesn't even occur to them. It doesn't even occur that there's you. There's some things you've got to put into place before you can get that dream, that plan, that goal, right? They don't have any of that. And let me tell you this, guys, even as we are starting to build a foundation for the episodes, the conversation in this series, let me tell you this. We need this mentality where the impossibilities are not there. In fact, by the way, some people don't even get to dream at all. They don't even get past the dreaming, because the moment they dream something, guess what? The impossibilities come into their minds, either because they have been in an environment of impossibilities, or they have been schooled to think in their way, in their culture, that those things are not doable, and so they don't even get to dream at all. They just live a day at a time. As long as I can have 3 square meals, that's it. There's no dream. There's no point for dreaming. But in our lives, we need to suspend these calculations and this thinking. If you will ever dream, if you will ever materialize anything, if you'll ever conceive something in your mind, you will need to stop the calculations for a minute. I know the reality needs to check in at some point in time. You need to check in. Jesus said, how are you going to go into war without counting the cost? How are you going to start building a house without counting the costs? You need to count the cost. But before you can count the cost, you need to know, I'm going to war, I'm going to build a house. At least dream. But I'm saying that sometimes these impossibility barriers in our minds, they nip our dreams in the bud even before we can document the dream. And we have very many other people around us, telling us, it's impossible, you cannot do it, just stop dreaming. How many times have you been told to stop dreaming? The people of impossibility barriers. And even before we can go to people of impossibility barriers, even those barriers inside of us, they stop us. They stop us from fulfilling what we need to fulfill in the first place. They stop us from dreaming. They stop us from stepping out. They are within us and they are also outside of us. So I'm going to be talking about those 5 impossibility barriers, how to overcome these impossibility barriers, how we can be able to overcome them in our lives. But I wanted to set up this foundation, that the barriers are there, the impossibilities are there, but the plans and the dreams need to be there too. In fact, these plans and these dreams, they need to meet those impossibilities. The more we create these plans and these dreams to juxtapose them smack in the middle of the impossibilities, the more we are better off than just looking at the impossibilities and folding our hands and saying, there is no point of dreaming, there is no point of planning anyway. It's not going to happen anyway. I'm not going to make it anyway. No, we need to attempt these things. And that's why I want us to start discussing these things in earnest. The 5 ways we can be able to overcome the impossibility barriers in our lives. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be interesting, but I've set the foundation and the ground going. And I know you're going to be excited about this. So stay tuned. Share it with as many people as possible. Help me to reach out to as many people as possible. If you know that someone is going to be blessed with this one, share it with them. Share it in their circles. And let's buckle up. It's going to be a good ride. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.